Welcome back to the fifth and final tutorial for Google Apps for Education and iOS devices. I'm Victoria and I am here today to talk to you about Google Classroom. So I want to let you know first by beginning that to use Google Classroom, you need to be a Google Apps for Education school. So if you don't have Google Apps for Education, then you cannot use Classroom in your classroom. Now, what Classroom does for us is it kind of organizes the Google Drive experience, whether it's on iOS or whether it's on a laptop device. From the teacher standpoint, I highly recommend that you start setting up everything from your MacBook or PC or Chromebook. So anything that you're setting up in Classroom is much easier to manage from the stance of a laptop device as opposed to a tablet device. So just keep that in mind. Classroom is still relatively new in its development. It's less than a year old. So I do anticipate that this app will become more robust for the teacher side of things very soon, but it is very limited at this time. So today we're going to be exploring it from a student point of view, and I'm just going to walk through a few tips and tricks of how I use Classroom in my classroom. So to get started, we're going to jump into the app. And what you're going to see is this is Owen's view. So this is our student's view when he jumps into the iOS app. And from here you can see any classes that he's joined. So he used a one-time class code that he just said, hey, I'm a student, I want to join Miss Olson's class. So he put in a code and boom, he's in my class, and I can manage that list as a teacher from my side. And then he can also see any upcoming assignments that pop up. So to get in there, he's just going to go ahead and tap on our class list, and we're going to have a list come up of all the different assignments that Owen needs to do. Now this is over a period of time, and please ignore those little red banners. There is an option on the assignments for them to press a button that says turn in. Now I want to let you know that I'm just going to go to his assignment here. So when he goes to this assignment, and clicks on your work, he can actually see his document. And do you see that big blue button that says turn in? I tell my kids not to hit that because then they lose any editing capabilities they have on that document. So as soon as they click turn in and the due date passes, they can't edit the document. It's frozen. So depending on what the purpose is for this particular assignment, this is a blog post and we do cyclical feedback. So I give feedback to Owen. He will come back and give me any questions he might have. He might fix those things. He might say, hey, is it better? And so on. And we can kind of do a reply back and forth kind of conversation about the kind of feedback that he wants to do. So I actually don't get him to press that turn in button. So that's why all these big red banners are up. But you can use that as you wish, and it does depend on the assignment. Sometimes I do get kids to turn those in. So here in that first bar, you'll have the assignment stream, and this is where Owen can kind of go in and access anything that he wants to do. So for example, in the blog post of choice, he may or may not have attached work. Okay, so he did actually attach some work here. But if you keep on going, there are other posts where he has to attach work. I'm not going to click on the classmates piece because that will actually list all of my students' names, but he can go look at the other kids enrolled in the class. He cannot communicate with them really outside of anything unless he talks to them in the assignment stream. So for example, I'm going to go back to the day the crayons quit, and you're going to see that ability to add a comment. This allows him and his classmates to ask questions or discuss together any questions they have about assignments. But if he goes into your work, he can leave me a private comment that only me as the teacher will see. So he has the choice to either interact with his peers or interact with just his teacher, depending on his level of comfort there. And if he clicks on the About tab, it's just going to bring him into like about the class, about the teacher. Again, this looks a little bit more robust on the laptop. So the whole app is definitely in development and kind of moving along, but I think it's looking pretty nice so far. If we click on the little hot dogs on the side, so that top left corner, we're going to kind of see a list of options. So Owen can go out into Google Drive if he taps on the classroom folders folder there, and he's going to actually be able to see all of his assignments there. And then there's the option to kind of just go back to his home page, which was that front page that allows him to manage which classes he's in. So if you're in an elementary school perspective like me, you're probably just going to have one, maybe two classes, depending on if teachers are utilizing this tool. If you're in a middle school or high school situation, you could have 5, 6, 7 different classes running where all of your assignments can roll through the cloud. So it's kind of a powerful little tool. If you're utilizing iOS devices, you can definitely edit the documents. So I'm just going to jump right back into that Day the Crayons Quit blog post. Go to your work. And then once I click on the document that's attached, you'll see it kick us out into that Docs app. Do you remember the Docs app we covered in session number 3? And here you are, you're going to actually see Owen's work pop up, and he can then go in here and begin editing the doc as usual. So this can be a really powerful tool, but you do need Google Apps for Education to utilize this whole network of Google tools. Classroom brings all of those tools we've explored all together into one lovely place for us to explore. So if you have any questions, please let me know. You can tweet me at the address listed on the screen. And thank you for joining us for these EdTech Mentorship Network tutorials on Google Apps for Education and iOS. Tune in next month when we will be talking about creative apps for the iPad. So everything from Pic Collage to Poplet, we've got it covered. We'll see you next time.